Yes, with Jon Crumiller of Chess Collectors International. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Jon, we had a great exhibition yesterday with all those beautiful sets. I know you're not playing any kind of chess on those sets. I doubt those folks who collect, and you had a bunch of your colleagues here as well. Tell us about the show.
Sure. And there are two main kinds of sets, the ornamental sets and those you would never play with. Those are very ornamental, intricate, or shaped like elephants and different pieces.
We see some pieces here being shown, some lovely pieces.
And that's an ornamental set, certainly. The playing sets, though, actually that's the reason I started collecting, was as a player, and certainly not anywhere near your level, but to be able to find antique sets that one could play with and be able to play games with them. Granted, Litz is not super easy with those, but it's certainly possible.
You don't have your kids playing with these sets, do you?
No, my kids, fortunately, they're older, and so they don't get near them. They don't break them, but they like them to a certain extent. But go ahead.
Do folks have a personality around collecting? Like some people like to collect from certain eras or from certain regions of the world. What's your philosophy around collecting?
My collection is antique, and that's kind of the theme of it. I was really drawn to the history aspect of it. So I collect sets from the 19th century, 18th century, and earlier. And I have gaming pieces that go back to 3000 BC, Indus Valley gaming pieces.
Wow.
Pieces from Mesopotamia from 2000 BC. So the gaming aspect of it, through Senet, for instance, which was an Egyptian game, and in the Egyptian pyramids or those types of things, marching up through the Middle Ages, and that's when chess, of course, really comes to the forefront.
So you're saying game pieces, not chess, because chess, we don't have any proof of chess going back that far.
The current thinking is that chess started at 500-ish AD. It wasn't earlier, as far as we can tell, but there were 8x8 checkered boards illustrated in the pyramids, which is interesting.
Yes.
But my collection, I have the gaming pieces, but the vast majority, and really my interest, is as a chess player, is the chess aspect of it. So 19th century, 18th century, and some earlier, like 17th century. But to your point, other collectors collect from modern sets, Simpsons and characters and those types of things, or from some collectors specialize. One collector specializes in African sets, and that is his absolute love. Another collector specializes in early American sets, most of which are Bakelite, which is a type of plastic, and that type of thing. So yes, collectors have specialties and areas that they focus heavily on.
What do chess sets have to tell us about history and culture around the world?
They have quite a lot to tell us about history and culture, because the chess sets were developed within a certain culture. So the Indian sets, which for export, were from the Indian population under the auspices of the John Company. Now I'm thinking 18th century, 19th century, for British export, and so they made those sets. China, similar to today, China manufactures and manufactured so much in terms of chess sets for export to the British market and for other markets. For instance, one of the sets that we just looked at was a King George set. It's European versus Asian, and the white king and queen are King George III and Queen Charlotte for the British market, but for the French market, it's Napoleon and Josephine. Of course. So yeah, it's all the cultural aspect of it is really embedded and embodied by the pieces.
Tell us more about your talk. I know you gave a talk this morning to the collectors. What did you talk about?
Actually, it was around it was called Cultural Threads, and it went through the cultural aspects of chess sets around the globe and through space and time. So we looked at the interesting and unique aspects of chess sets from different places at different times. Like, let's take French Dieppe sets of the 18th and 19th century. The bishops were all contorted, like jester type things called fou or fool. And so that was specific to that time and place. It was actually a little bit of a chiding of the church to have that in there, because the bishops are traditionally, bishops of the church background. So that was part of the aspect of that. Fascinating tidbits in each era.
Absolutely. Well, it's a great exhibition. We would recommend everyone go see it. It's here at the Hall of Fame just for a few months. And thank you so much, Jon Crumiller, Chess Collectors International. Great stuff to talk about.
Thanks.
I'm going to ask one more question to Jon, actually. I know that there's been recent legislation that's changed the trade of ivory and some of the restrictions on that, and that's a theme that actually comes up in your show, how that debate and how it plays out. So maybe you could speak to that.
Sure. Well, and it's a really important and relevant issue. The overriding issue, and there's no question about this, is that poaching of elephants must stop and must be stopped, must forcibly be stopped through, it can't just be regulations, it has to be through money invested at the point of poaching to prevent it. That simply must happen. As a corollary, many people are interested in banning all trade of ivory, which certainly makes sense to a certain point. The point where it starts to perhaps not be as congruent is for the very antique ivory. And the reason is that there are many families with family heirlooms, musical instruments, antique firearms, many of which have embedded ivory. And if those then become outlawed, which they're on the brink of being outlawed in effect, then those families are making a sacrifice, and yet not a single elephant is saved by those actions. And so the actions that have to occur are the ones that will save the elephants. That's what we need to pursue. So I understand the mindset behind it, but there is somewhat of a disjoint between what's going to be effective in saving the elephant population and what's actually a symbolic gesture that doesn't help very much, but it does hurt people who own that, those family heirlooms.
We're talking about history and culture affecting chess and vice versa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And one thing is the chess fair that I'm supposed to mention, which is at the Hall of Fame tomorrow, 11 to 2, with many interesting chess sets for sale that if people want to stop in and see those sets, very interesting in their own right. So
definitely come out to that. Enjoy the weekend here, going to the Chess Collectors International show, seeing all these beautiful chess sets, and of course, enjoying the action by the finest players in the world.